All right, hey everybody, welcome back. We are diving deep today into relationships.
Oh, relationships.
We all got them
Yeah.
in some way, shape, or form. And today specifically, we're looking at it from kind of a faith-based lens.
Okay.
Um, and the material that we're looking at is an episode called Building Stability and Harmony in Your Relationship, a faith-driven approach.
Catchy title.
It is from the podcast, The Sunshine Inside.
Mm.
So that is what we are working with.
Okay.
But, even if you're not coming at it from a faith-based background,
Yeah.
stick with us because I think there's a lot of really good takeaways here for just building strong relationships in general.
Yeah, absolutely.
With anyone, really.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's just kind of jump right in. So this episode really caught my eye because of this whole concept of using like a triangle to kind of represent a relationship.
Yeah, I like that too.
What do you think about that?
Well, they talk about the partners being like the base of the triangle, right?
Right.
And then up at the top, the apex being their shared faith.
So like in this case specifically, they're talking about, Jesus.
Right.
And so it's like the two partners on the bottom and then Jesus is at the top.
Exactly.
Got it.
And so, as each person kind of individually deepens their connection with their faith, they naturally kind of move closer to each other because they're both kind of like being drawn upwards
Oh, that's interesting.
towards that shared apex.
So it's like that shared purpose or that higher goal is what kind of strengthens the base of that triangle, strengthens that bond.
Right.
I see.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. And what I'm thinking, though, too, is like, what happens if one person feels a stronger pull towards that apex, than the other person? Does that create like an imbalance in that triangle?
That's a really great question. And, to be honest, it's not something that they specifically address in The Sunshine Inside.
Got it.
But I think you bring up a really good point because it highlights kind of the need for constant communication, right? And being willing to meet each other kind of where they're at in their individual journeys, even within a shared faith.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, this whole triangle concept, I think even if we kind of take it outside of like the religious context,
Yeah.
it still holds up, right? Like if you think about it,
Mm-hmm.
any shared value or goal could really become that apex for a couple.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It could be a passion for something like environmentalism. It could be, a commitment to being creative, or it could even be, a dream to build a business together.
Right. It's about finding that common ground, that shared aspiration.
Yeah.
It kind of gives your relationship a direction,
That's like that North Star for you.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's really cool. Even thinking about like in my own relationship, like we both have this really deep love for travel.
Yeah.
And like exploring new cultures. And so like that shared kind of love of adventure has definitely, I think, brought us closer together and given us a ton of just amazing experiences, as a couple.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, I think it's a really good example of that.
Yeah. And, speaking of shared values, The Sunshine Inside talked a lot about the importance of finding a partner who aligns with you in your faith.
All right, like someone who's on the same page spiritually.
Yeah.
But let's broaden that out a little bit.
Right.
Why do you think that having shared vision is so important in any relationship, like regardless of your beliefs?
Well, I mean, think about it this way. Like, imagine trying to build a house on a foundation that's constantly shifting.
Well, that's a good one.
Right. That's what it can be. Like, if you have core values that clash,
Oh, yeah.
let's say that one person really prioritizes financial stability, above all else.
Yeah.
And the other person's really spontaneous and loves to just take risks.
Whole opposite ends of the spectrum.
Right. Or maybe one person dreams of, living in a big city and the other person wants to be in a small town.
Oh, yeah.
Like those fundamental differences can create a lot of tension and conflict down the line.
It's like you're constantly pulling in opposite directions.
Right.
And eventually, something's got to give right.
Exactly.
Yeah. It makes you think about what are your non-negotiables?
Yeah.
What are those values that absolutely have to be in sync for you to see a future with somebody?
Yeah. What would you need to have in common to feel like, okay, we can build something solid together?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a good question for everybody to think about.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
So, once you've found someone who you share values with, The Sunshine Inside suggests it's important to understand each other's roles in a relationship.
Okay.
And they do come at it from a more traditional kind of viewpoint.
Yeah.
But I think there's still a valuable takeaway there.
Totally. I agree. It's not about like, fitting into some rigid, old-fashioned roles.
Right.
It's more about recognizing each other's strengths, right?
Yeah.
And appreciating how those strengths contribute to the partnership as a whole.
Absolutely. It's like in any team, right? You
Yeah.
have different people bringing different skills, different perspectives, and that's what makes the team successful.
Totally, totally. And that kind of brings us to another interesting point, I think, that the Sunshine Inside touched on, which is this whole concept of love languages.
Yes, yes, love
They
languages.
mentioned the work of Dr. Gary Chapman, who,
Yeah.
he identifies those 5 ways that people express and experience love,
Right.
which I think is so helpful
It is.
for understanding, like, how does your partner actually feel loved
Yeah.
and
Because
appreciated?
it's different for everybody.
Exactly.
For some, it's words of affirmation. For some, it's acts of service. For some, it's
That-
quality time,
Right.
gifts, physical touch.
Yeah. You got to know what your partner needs.
Yeah, and learn how to speak their language.
Yeah, it's so true. Even thinking back, to the early days of my own relationship, like I used to try to express my, love and affection through gifts a lot.
Yeah.
But actually my partner's love language is quality time. And it wasn't until we really sat down and had like an honest conversation about love languages that I realized like, oh, I'm not always hitting the mark here,
Huh, interesting.
you know?
Yeah.
And so now I make like a much more conscious effort to carve out time for us
Yeah.
to just connect and have those meaningful conversations, which
Well-
is what he really thrives on.
Yeah, it makes you feel seen and heard and understood,
Oh, totally, totally.
Yeah.
And that actually brings us to, I think, one of the biggest takeaways from the Sunshine Inside is they really emphasize this shift
Oh, yeah.
from a what can I get mindset to a what can I give mindset
Yes.
when it comes to relationships.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's so important.
What'd you think about that?
Well, I mean, it's about like letting go of that sense of entitlement, right?
Yeah.
And really focusing on how can I contribute to my partner's happiness.
Like, what can I bring to the table?
Exactly. It's about selfless love.
Mhm.
Understanding that true joy in a relationship comes from giving, not just
Yeah.
receiving.
Totally.
And, it's interesting because studies have shown that doing kind things for other people actually boosts our own well-being.
Oh, wow.
So it's a win-win.
So you're actually helping yourself
You are.
by being selfless.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
It's like that whole, the more you give, the more you get kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Mm.
And even, little things go such a long way.
Totally.
Like just a simple gesture of appreciation.
Absolutely.
Like making your partner a cup of coffee in the morning
Yeah.
or sending him a nice little text message during the day.
Yeah. Right.
What's something you could do today to like brighten your partner's day?
Ooh, that's a good question for everyone listening.
Yeah, think about that.
Think about that.
So as always, we've unpacked a lot here today. We explored a lot of ideas from the Sunshine Inside about how to build those relationships that are grounded in faith. But like we've been saying, I think a lot of these principles, they go way beyond,
Oh, for
any one specific belief system.
yeah.
It really boils down to shared values, understanding, and that selfless love. Those are the building blocks
Yeah.
of any strong and lasting relationship.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, thank you. Thank you. So as we wrap up, I want to leave you with a final thought.
Okay, I'm ready.
If you were to build your ideal relationship triangle, like we were talking about,
Yeah.
what would be at the very top?
Oh.
Like, what are those shared aspirations, values, or goals that would be that guiding force, that brings you and your partner closer together?
That's a really good question. I think I have some homework to do.
Yeah, I think we all do.
Yeah.
Well, hey, thank you all so much for tuning into this deep dive
Yeah, this has been fun.
to relationship harmony.
Yeah.
Remember that building strong relationships, it's a journey. It's not a destination.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
It is. It is. So keep exploring, keep learning, and keep growing, both as individuals and as partners.
Yes.
All right, we'll see you next time.
See ya. Bye.